Hey, welcome to the Joyful Rebels podcast. We've got Claire and Donna Thomas here, your mother-daughter duo. And this week we're going to talk about 3 tips for self-care during the holidays. So, if you're listening to this as it's released, we are coming up on Christmas and New Year's and what we call the holiday season. So, whether you celebrate that or not, even with the new year coming up,
hmm
it can be a time just generally uh, of more stress. Kids might be out of school. I know for me, right away, that's going to add a little bit more stress. Uh, there might be more gatherings, seeing people you don't see throughout the year. Um, there's just a lot going on. And so, what we wanted to do this week is to provide you with an anchor or a grounding point, a strategy
hmm
that you can take and use if you want to kind of take the reins of your own self-care, your own well-being. So, Mom, I've got to give you credit. You came up with this. I love it. But we're today going to talk about the 3 M's. So,
Hmm.
do you want to walk us through this genius little idea that you had?
Oh my gosh, 3 M's. Does that mean like an M&M and a half of another one? I mean, I don't know.
Got
Okay,
those
bad
over
joke.
there.
Yeah. It reminds me that I love when strategies are born because usually it's for me they're a result of not having a
Mm,
strategy and feeling what that's like and wanting to either get ahead of it, try to do things a little bit differently. And so this is where this came down to. I distilled it down to when I get in a pinch, and it can be used in holidays for sure, whatever you celebrate, but also just times of stress. So I look at it like that. When you have more commitments, that you are, out over your skis a little bit more, when time is compressed, I distill it down to the 3 M's, and that is move, moisturize, and meditate. Okay, stay with me because that's weird. Anytime there's any form of the word moisturize or whatever, it's like weird and gross. But here's where I'm thinking and here's why I've pulled it to there. And this was just me looking in the rearview mirror. I wasn't forward thinking on this. This was how I've landed in the past. I just gave it a name. Okay. So the first thing, the reason why I was looking at this as an anchor, because I want to, in times of stress, I still want to contribute positively to my life. I don't know
Mhm,
about you guys, but I'm the first one to go when my time is pressed. If there's something I can do for me or somebody else needs something, and I'll air quote needs because might not be that they need it or could be they want it, but I wind up taking something from myself and freeing up some time. So if I want to stay in the game and contribute positively to my life, I'm going to need a little bit of a structure and an anchor. The second thing is that it helps me cope. And I want to really go through life with a smile on my face. I don't want to have it be where there's times of just duress. And you guys that are raising littles, it's holidays can be just a lot more.
mhm.
So I'm sending tons of love to you guys for uh running this good race and creating all these moments for other people. So thank you. It's hard. It's not always going to be like this. I don't believe that, but it really is. If you're in the deep end, kudos to you and thank you for creating great core value core memories for your family. The other thing is when we engage in these small rituals, what happens is it makes our world smaller for just a little bit. When things seem really big, it makes it smaller. It's like just singular focus for a little bit. I feel so much better when I can
Mhm.
dial it in for just a little bit, because part of my overwhelm comes with seeing all the pieces that are moving at one time. So again, that's my motivation for trying to gather things together. And here's why we're doing these 3 things. The first one is move, and this should be no surprise to anyone. Moving is an integral part of our lives. I believe, as women for sure. I don't want to overthink everything or stay too cerebral in my head. I'm not going to think my way out of holidays. I have to act and behave. That also gives me a sense of accomplishment, and it positively impacts my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. That's how my nervous system regulates and interprets that. And it also just helps me cope by being able to do something. That simple act of whatever it is allows me to regain my footing. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can move, and just so you break it down, and we can talk about this more in another episode, but there's three different ways. There's cardiovascularly, something that's rhythmic, whether it's dancing or cycling or walking or doing whatever. It's something that you don't even have to really think that much about unless it's got choreography to it. Then your mind and your brain are really involved. That seems to be a go-to for women. I'll paint it like that. That's just anecdotally what I've seen over the course of my fitness career. And there's where things are changing, but if that is what you love, and if you're in a time where there is limited time, then lean into it. Go do that. If you love that, just go ahead and indulge yourself. It might sometimes I actually had it down in my head where am I going to eat this like kind of gooey thing or am I going to go take a walk? Which one's going to make me feel better? Rarely do I put that in an equation next to each other because I think they both fit. But what I realize is if I really want to go for a walk and it's rhythmic, that really speaks to me even more so. So every now and again, that is going to help keep you in a place where it's not about moving to burn off calories. It's just moving to move.
Mm,
And we'll get more into that at some point. But just move to move. You feel better. There's a whole lot of things that happen when you move. I'll just leave it right there. So you pick your favorite thing. It's not about burning the calories off, which brings me to strength training. So you can do cardiovascular, which is your heart and lungs, strength training, which is a separate system. They're interconnected, but it is separate, and that's your muscles. I get it that you understand what that is, but if you really like that, do that. That is if you're choosing a class and it's got, weightlifting in it, go for it. You will feel empowered doing that as well. And then I don't want to forget the third thing that you can do as you're moving under the first M, and that would be some kind of flexibility. Maybe it's Pilates, which has got more calisthenic base, but lengthening. Maybe it's yoga, and we've got a ton of classes that Claire has lovingly put together and expertly put together that are on the website. I'm sure there'll be links to that at the end. But whether it's foam rolling, but there's got to be something that just the note that I wanted to say about flexibility is that this is the thing in Western culture we don't seem to value very much. And I like to think it's changing. But the other things were hard work. This one doesn't seem to fall in the same bucket, but it really is such an integral complement to how we use our bodies. We can't forget it. And I love that it's rising in importance because that's the thing that's going to keep you going and moving for the long game.
hmm
Cannot be ignored. You can't not do it because it will eventually catch up to us. It does. It has, and it will. So that's why that's the trifecta. Cardio stuff, heart and lungs, you've got strength training, and you've got flexibility, whatever that looks like. If there's something you like more than something else, then just do that. Just do that. Okay. So it's kind of loose, but make sure that you're just still allowing your nervous system to get some different information. That's the first M. Sound good so far?
Yeah, I love that. Let me just say real quick that idea of pick what you're into and lean into it. I love that. We're not telling you to go right now and rewrite your entire exercise plan or go to a brand new gym and sign up tomorrow. We're saying if there's something you like, and even if that is a 5 or 10 minute walk, move to move for the benefit of moving. I love that. Keeping it simple.
Yeah. And even think about it, even if you're just doing something that you love and you're like, oh, but I could do it every single day of the week, but I know I shouldn't. Like when those words start coming into my head, I'm like, okay, let me review this. Right now is about the time of going with the flow, going with the flow enough and yet still feeding yourself.
Mm,
So, I trust your wisdom on this. I'm trusting my wisdom on this. And it's so my week looks a little bit different. My weeks are looking a little bit different. Like today I slept in. I need to rest today. And I will go and take a walk later on today, which is not normally what I do on, recording days, but I listened and I don't feel badly about it at all. And I trust myself that we'll get it done. So you're going to have those opportunities to flex that muscle metaphorically. So do that. Okay. The second one is moisturize, which I thought, how am I going to encapsulate this? And I really wanted to just get it as an M. One of the things when I really started to look at my self-care was my skincare routine. Now, what I do now is not extravagant. It's like 3 steps, like that's for me. But at nighttime is when I really spend time doing that. It signals the end of my day. I make sure that I do it. I spend like, 5 or 6 minutes or whatever. And the reason I'm focusing on the nighttime is because in the morning, if I'm getting up early, I'm just walking out the door to go do what I'm going to do. I'm not redoing any of my moisturizing or makeup or anything, maybe till afternoon. The nighttime is a stake in the sand. The nighttime, I promised myself when I started to do some better self care that this was something that I was not going to skip, because there have been years in my life where I'd be like, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing that. When if I look at it in the terms of I'm not making a vote for my future self, if I skip the thing that's really going to nourish my skin, why would I do that? It doesn't take long. It signals my brain that we're starting to get ready to go to bed, because then that gets me ready for sleep. So that's the precursor to sleeping. My nighttime ritual, which I'll just call it under moisturize, uh, that that to me, although short, really signals my brain that something different is going to happen and we're going to rest. And I also want that stuff on my face while I'm sleeping, even though I'm sleeping with my face in the pillow half the time, which I wake up horrified. I'm like, ah, my face has been totally whatever. You fall asleep, you don't know which position you're in anymore. But that to me is a vote for my future self. I want my skin nourished, and it is a thing from my past that I would skip because I was
Mm.
tired, because I was overextended, or because I don't know, if I dig deep, maybe it's like I didn't think I was worth it. I don't know. There could be some of that in there. So I'm not going to do that, even in times of stress. I can take 5 minutes for sure. So I'm moving, I'm moisturizing, and that's PM. I'm looking at the PM one. And then the last thing is meditate. Although, Claire, do you have anything on the moisturizing thing? Does that resonate for you too? I didn't mean to skip over that.
No, no. I got my notes and I would bring it up anyways. I'm over here just furiously scribbling. I just love how you said ritual, because that's really what we're talking about here. You're going to do some movement in the day, but you're also going to set yourself up to have this routine at night. Like, this is what I'm going to do before I'm going to bed. So I love everything you said, that you're signaling that it's bedtime, that it's downtime. And you talked about a vote for your future self. So you're definitely speaking my language there, because I I use that phrase probably daily. And I appreciate your honesty of talking about, maybe it was am I worth doing all this? But yes, you are. I am. Anyone listening, yes, you are. So whether it's a 3 minute, a 5 minute, or a 20-minute routine, yes, you are allowed that time and you are worth it. And it can be a great anchoring in this little 3-step strategy that we're talking about. So we've
Mm.
got move, we've got moisturize. Let's bring it home. Third M.
Meditate. Meditate is we keep going back to it, and it looks lots of different ways. I'm hoping that as you're listening that you hear the message of it can be a real shorty one. There's
Hmm.
some great meditations that we have that are minutes, just a couple minutes long. And the thing as you're listening that I want you to um, look for it, and I'm looking for it for me too, is that when I hear myself say internally or out loud, I just need a second. I just need a minute. When you just need something to just stop for a second because you need to gather your thoughts, that's exactly what I'm going to take that, and not just recognize that I need like the time out for a little bit. I need to switch the gears and I need to go inward. And when I can do that and just observe my thoughts, do some breathing, do some, 5 minute, maybe it's a guided meditation, I come out on the other side in a different place. So I'll call that, like, that's almost 2 steps. I'm going to recognize it. And the
Mm,
phrase that comes in my brain is, I just need a second. Did you ever say that to yourself, Claire? You're like, I just need just a second. And
absolutely.
yeah, so instead of just saying it and leaving it there, that's when you go do it, because it's not going to take a whole bunch of time. The time's going to pass whether you do anything or not. But if you really want to leverage the cues that you're getting from, and this is part of knowing yourself, your
Hmm.
body's telling you, your body, your brain, your heart, your mind, all of this is giving you a signal that this is the time to pay attention to that. I'm really doing more. I'm trying to not suppress that or blow it off or disregard. I'm like, you're trying to tell me something. I will listen. And it's not that I have to go on a 10-day Vipassana. I can do 4 minutes. I can do 2 minutes of breathing and I will feel better. almost immediately. So I love the three woven together. Sometimes we hear over the holidays that that's the time to take bubble baths and do face masks and all. I love it, but that's not in the cards for me right now. And it doesn't need to be. So I'm just going to take it off the table and stay with the consistency of three things that I hit for me. There's like morning, there's a night, and there's something that can go anywhere in between.
Mm,
And there I feel like I have tools that I can carry with me. These are with me. I don't need to have something that I have to be at a certain place to do or a certain time, except the nighttime one that sets me up for the next day. How you feeling about all this, Claire?
yeah, I love what you're saying, and I'm laughing because when you asked me just a second ago, do you ever feel that way? Saying to myself, I need to take a second, I need a minute for myself, and I was like, absolutely, wholeheartedly. But I want to add that wasn't always the case for me because then
Mm,
you went on to say that it's an awareness, it's knowing yourself. It doesn't always show up as just a phrase, oh, I need to take a second. That's kind of next level there to realize
mm,
that it might be showing up for you in a feeling of overwhelm, or you're getting angry really quickly, or you're noticing it in your chest, or your shoulders are up by your ears. So it might be that your body is trying to tell you something, but we're so busy. We don't always stop and listen. So we keep going. So if you were to notice some of these physical signs, then maybe the verbal is, I need to take a second. And then you can do that, whether it's 2 minutes, 4 minutes. And I will say, we've got 6 or 7 meditations on the podcast right now. So if you're like, I don't know where to go, just Googling or YouTubing meditation, yes, you can, of course, do that. But, if you enjoy my voice,
mm.
we've got 6 or 7 right there. And I will say my favorite is the box breathing. And we talked about that in our time to meditate episode. We've got a separate exercise of box breathing, but I did that just yesterday. And it's one of those things where I know that works for me, but I don't always use it. It's a tool in my toolbox, but sometimes I just forget about it, or I think, I don't have the time. But you mentioned, Mom, that a lot of the times you can feel an immediate effect. And for box breathing, for me, I will note like it's very significant. I will notice from when I started to when it ends, lower heart rate, feeling more calm. So it doesn't need to take a long time. Each of these three M's, they don't have time limits tied to them. It's going to be really personal. So we've got those episodes. I wanted to add one more thing. So maybe if your move is to go on a walk, and maybe you do have some stressy things coming up, we've got your back. We have some other episodes that you might want to refer to with some tips for the upcoming potentially stressful events. I'm thinking like get-togethers, big groups of people, any of that. So we've got that episode, Time to Have a Hard Conversation, where we've got tips for how to how to deal with difficult conversations. We've got Time to Flex Your No muscle, because if you're anything like me, you're getting a lot of asks right now. There's a lot of extra stuff on your plate. And if you have any people pleasing tendencies, or you don't want to let people down, you might be saying yes when really you want to be saying no. And more recently, we've got an episode, Time for a Quick Mental Health Reset. And that one has 4 different tips that, again, just take minutes for you to kind of get a little refresher, reset, so you can go on with your day. So, a final recap for today. First of all, I want to say happy holidays to
Mm.
all of you for listening. Thank you so much for coming along with us, for listening. And if you're looking for 3 tips for a simple self-care strategy for either the holidays or anytime you're feeling stressed, you're going to move, moisturize, and meditate. Until next time, Rebels.